Hey there, retro gamers. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Game Overcast. I am your host, David Kaelin. I am the Game Over CEO. Today is Friday, May the 28th, I think. I should have written that down. I think it's the 28th. 27. Well, 27, because it's Friday.
Today's... Okay, so...
We can't say today. This is movie magic. Like, today is... Dan, today is Friday.
So it's the 27th then.
Yes. Okay. So welcome to May 27th. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. It is Friday in our virtual world where you're watching this show. So thanks for joining us. It's episode 18 too, which is great. Dan told me I think this is our third episode 18. Is that right?
A fourth, actually.
Fourth episode 18. So,
Season 4.
You know, when we hit our fifth episode 18, it's time to call it a new season.
Oh my gosh.
No, we have the numbering down now. So now it's like the season number is the year. So like this year, 2022 is season 4. So we're going to do that all the way through the year. And the episodes started at 1 and now we're up to 18. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be up to like 40-ish, 40 to 50 shows by the time we hit like, Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. So anyway, episode 18. Thanks for joining us. It's Friday. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good show, good times. We're not going to talk about any of the negative stuff going on in the world and the press right now because that's all very depressing.
There's negative stuff?
Yeah. Dan didn't think there was negative news, but there is. Don't tell Dan there's negative news in the world. Yeah. There's bad and sad and mean things that happen in the world, kids. I'm sorry. But in this show, in our space, in our bubble, in our little world, everything is happy all the time, and all we do is think and talk about video games and running businesses and just living our lives. So that's the world we all want to be in. So that's where we're going to stay, damn it. All right, so let's get on with the show. Let's do level 1 and talk about what's going on in current events in gaming. And we're back with level 1 and current events. So what's going on in the world of gaming? I actually have a lot of news to talk about today. So I guess a lot's going on. So here we go. So first of all, the biggest news of all, has global impact. So this is major news breaking here. Apparently, video games make kids smarter. Proven.
Knew it.
I know. Dan says he knew it. I knew it too. They are good for you. Not bad for you. They're good for you. So apparently an article came out on WebMD, so, reputable source, right? They did a study of 5,000 American kids, and we all know American kids, that's the toughest ones to pull away from the video games. So 5,000 American kids, 9 to 10 years old, they did a 2-year study. And after that study, they found that the kids that spent at least 1 hour per day playing video games on average actually scored higher IQ than the average of their peers. So only 2.5 points higher. So like this much. So it makes you smarter, yes, but it only makes you that much smarter.
You all already knew that, though. Dan
says he already knew that. Did you know that? Did you know video games made you smarter, viewers? No. Dan thinks that's such common knowledge. It wasn't common knowledge, or they wouldn't have done the survey.
But if you play video games, you know that you're smarter than everybody else.
I don't think you know that. I think you think that. But now it's scientifically proven. So apparently it's a fact. So kids get smarter playing video games only by a tiny fraction. So don't let them go nuts and just play games 24/7. But it does. It improves coordination and even social skills, because when you're playing online, you are talking and interacting and working as a team, sometimes with other players. And so yeah, it makes you smarter. It's a fact. WebMD, look it up. Hard to believe. All right, moving on to other stories. There's a story that came out about the Spider-Man game games now on PlayStation that are exclusive to PS4, PS5, and how that all kind of started. And apparently Marvel in the beginning, they made games through Activision, or they licensed and Activision made their games, and they made some Spider-Man games and stuff like that over the years. But they didn't like how the games were turning out. Like a lot of, I think, movie or comic IP type games, they were kind of cookie cutter and not as long-term enjoyable type games. And so they started shopping it around. Left Activision. They were going to have somebody, they wanted an exclusive partnership where they could have an exclusive to a console or something and have, really high quality games made and have like a special deal set up. And so they did. So they shopped it to PlayStation and to Microsoft. And apparently Microsoft at the time was all about their own IP. And so they had, their in-house franchises like, Halo and whatnot. And then they've been buying a lot of other studios. And so they, acquired a bunch of other IP. And they were basically all focused on developing those IP. So they didn't want to bring in another one, like, even though it was Marvel and Spider-Man, because they were just focusing on their in-house talent. So they passed. They said, nah, not interested. So they went to PlayStation, and Sony was interested. And so Sony, made them a deal, and they said, we're going to do like AAA, like super high quality, versions of Spider-Man games. And they got Insomniac to do it, which was like kind of independent, but they pretty much just work for Sony. But they got them to make the games, and then clearly, that first one was a huge success, sold like 20 million copies. They had a follow-up Miles Morales game that did 6.5 million copies. They're working on Spider-Man 2 now. And apparently they're also working now on an exclusive game in the Wolverine license, I guess. So there's going to be, like, just like they did with Spider-Man, there's going to be an exclusive PlayStation Wolverine game coming out soon that'll be, groundbreaking and AAA quality, not just your normal throwaway licensed, game. So Microsoft's loss was PlayStation's gain on that one. So I thought that was interesting. There's always like cool, behind the scenes stories in the business world like that, and things that sometimes never even come out to the public that you're unaware of. But back in the day, the Super Nintendo, right? They were going to have a CD add-on, just like Genesis had the CD add-on, and Sony was going to make it for them, and then they had a falling out. So then they're like, well, screw you, we're going to still release it. We'll just not have the Super Nintendo cartridge part on it, and we'll do it disc only, and made PlayStation. And then look where they ended up. So there's all kinds of cool, like, kind of stories that happen in the background in the business world, and this was just an interesting one I thought about Spider-Man. So there you go. And if you like that story, you're going to love this one. So this is probably my favorite story, definitely of today, but probably of the whole show. Another reputable news source, Newsweek magazine, right?
Wow.
And very, very reputable, right? Right, Dan's heard of that. Newsweek magazine, normally like crisis in Africa, like very, very like serious, hard-hitting news. So they reported that a man was bitten in the butt by a snake while playing games on his phone on the toilet. Yeah, Newsweek.
Wow.
Newsweek reported this.
Good to know.
So I guess it was a slow day around the world somehow, because I don't know, when I watch the news, I see all kinds of crazy stuff happening in the world. But this apparently was an important story to mention. But I just thought it was funny. So the guy was, this is a guy, 28 years old. His name is Sabri Tazali, I think, in Malaysia. So 28-year-old guy. So like the average age of a game over shopper, right? Like just 28 years old, young, healthy dude.
Wait, what country is this?
In Malaysia. So it's in Malaysia is
Not
where?
Central
Malaysia's in
Texas.
Asia. No, not in Texas. I mean, there's probably crazy snake stories in Texas too, but so 28-year-old guy in Malaysia, sitting in the bathroom on the toilet, playing games, because I guess he's got a slow slog happening there in the bathroom, and there was a snake apparently he didn't see when he went in there, a python curled up in the corner behind the toilet, and as he was sitting there playing and had pants down and everything, sitting on the toilet, snake jumped up, grabbed his butt, took a big bite, and I didn't write this off, but or write this down on my notes, but from an article it said that when it bit, I guess he was, young enough and healthy enough, like he fought it off, like he ripped it out and was like, get out of here, and ripped it off of him. And so even when he pulled the snake off of his butt, there were fragments of the teeth inside his butt cheek that had to be removed.
Hold on. Wait.
So like,
No. Stop.
Dan doesn't
What
understand.
does this have to do with gaming?
Because he was playing games on the phone. So it was because...
That's such a... Okay. It's like Newsweek, huh, Dave?
Have you ever heard the theory, and I'm sorry, they're going to have to bleep this on the show, so make a note of this, but
Right.
Or get off the pot? Did you ever hear that growing up?
Yes.
So this dude was sitting there, and he didn't shit or get off the pot. Like, he just sat there and played games. So it was because of his love of video games that he was there for long enough for the snake to be like, look, this is my room. I'd really like you to leave. You're stinking it up. And if you don't, I'm going to force you out. And so it jumped up and bit his ass. Sorry, that's two bad words. That's it for the show. But so it's video game related because the video games were the cause of him sitting there and being a target for the snake. Okay, maybe it was a slow news day and I just like that story, you know? Okay, you got me. I could twist anything to a video game related story.
It's your show.
Hey, I thought it was video game related and I thought it was funny as hell. So I thought it was good for the show. Yes. Okay. So in more retro gaming specific news, there have been some whispers and talk of Capcom bringing back some of their old IPs. And so that's really cool because Capcom, they still do a lot of stuff. You know, they do Resident Evils and they do Mega Man. They do a lot of stuff. But they've made a ton of games over the years that just haven't seen sequels in a long time. And so they didn't mention any specifics. But you know, I mean, of all their IP, I mean, they're the ones that were like the biggest hits that haven't had a sequel in a long time are pretty much like Beautiful Joe, Darkstalkers. I even added Little Nemo on here. They mentioned the first two in the article, but wasn't Little Nemo Capcom? Because I loved that game on NES.
I can look at that.
I think it was a Capcom game. But I think that would be a cool one that they could bring back and do a really,
it was Capcom.
A really cool, you know, game of that. And they also did all the. I mean, they may not have this license now because they're Disney, but they did all the Disney games. Remember, like Disney Adventures, like Chip and Dale, and all that kind of stuff. And so, I guess nowadays that would all be, you know, Disney. So they'd probably, you know, they'd shop it around. It's not necessarily Capcom IP, but Little Nemo I think was straight up a Capcom IP. So that would be a good one. So anyway, so hopefully we can keep our fingers crossed that Capcom will be bringing up some cool, long dormant IPs back to life. And the final thing in retro gaming news, which also is kind of a fun story, I like bringing the fun to you guys. I like the fun. There's a lot of pain and misery in the world, and so this show's got to be fun. This is my fun little hour of the week. This is going to be your fun little hour of the week. So last story is retro gaming related. Nintendo Wii, which is now, believe it or not, a retro console that's like 20 years old. So apparently the Queen of England plays Wii, and. Well, maybe not still, because you know. But this is an article that it just came out that when the Wii, I guess, came out, that Princess Kate got one for William for like a Christmas or something, like as a present, and they hooked it up, and you know the prince and I assume their kids and stuff were playing it and messing around with it, and the Queen wanted to play, and they let her play, and she loved it, and she loved bowling. So yeah, Queen of England, you know. Maybe not play now, but has played and has really, really enjoyed Wii Sports Bowling. So I just thought that was really cool. You don't picture, you know, she's always so proper and so formal and so, you know, stoic and everything. And just to see her going, woo, you know, just bowling. Oh, goody. Look, I got to strike.
Confirmed game.
How's that for an impression?
It's good.
Impressions aren't really my thing.
Winner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I thought that was a fun story, and so that's my final story of the week. So, so I hope you enjoyed level 1 with your gaming news, and now let's go on to level 2 and talk about company events and what's going on at your local Game Over video game store. And we're back with level 2 company events. So what's going on right now at your local Game Over video game store? Well, we do have sales every week, and there's a big one going on right now. So it's Memorial Day weekend, big holiday weekend, also a big sale weekend for most stores. So if you're shopping at all this weekend, there's probably massive sales and crowds at the malls and the shopping centers. So we're no different. It's just that our stuff is cooler. But yeah, so Memorial Day we have a big sale. It's buy 2 get 1 free on all of our games, $19.99 and less. So it's not going to apply to the really expensive rare stuff, but most of the games, tend to be the more common type games in our stores. So $19.99 or less, all those games are buy 2 get 1 free. Lowest price item is free. So it doesn't matter what price point you get. The cheapest of the 3 games is the free one. So pro tip, the way to maximize that sale, if you want to save a lot of money, is make sure all 3 of your games are virtually the same price.
Yeah.
Because that's the way to really get the full benefit. If you buy like 2 $20 games and then one like $5 game, you're only saving the $5. If you buy 3 $20 games, you're actually saving $20. See, pro tip from me to you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, and no limit. So if you buy 6 games, you can group them in threes, and as long as you have a set of 3, the cheapest one in that group would be free, and the cheapest one in the next group is free. So it's not necessarily like if you get 6 games, the cheapest 3 of the 6, or the cheapest, I guess, 2 of the 6 would be the free 2. You could have a group of 3 and the cheapest one in there, and then another group of 3. So
it's getting a little complicated.
Is it complicated now?
Yeah.
And if you add 1 and then you carry the 7, then the square root of the sale plus the I can't even think of a bogus equation fast enough to do that. Okay. So anyway, big sale this week. So come check it out. That runs May 27th, which is today, through June the 2nd. I'm sorry, June 2. So it's Friday through Thursday, just like most of our sales. So it is a full week. June 2.
You thought June was enough.
Yeah. So also in the stores, in addition to that, there's a trade-in bounty going on in May. So we've still got a few more days of that. It's getting near the end of May, though, so time is running out. But during the month of May, each store has specific Nintendo Switch titles that they're wanting and needing, or customers have requested or whatever, that we put up on the bulletin boards in the front. And so if you bring those in, you're getting higher cash values for those games when you sell them to us. So if you have any Switch games you're not playing, bring them to your local Game Over store and see if you can get some extra money for those. And plus, when you bring them, bring a bunch of other stuff too, because we buy everything. We buy Atari stuff, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx, anything. So we buy and sell all video games, accessories, consoles, everything ever made. So bring it all in. But Nintendo Switch games, those certain titles, you're getting more for this month. So that's the deal. And that expires the end of May, which is Tuesday, May 31st. In events news, so we do free monthly tournaments in every store. It's called Super Retro Challenge. Retro gaming, free to enter, and you win prizes if you win. You get to meet other people in the community. So it's just kind of fun, free events that we do. The next one is coming up soon on June 11th. That's a Saturday. And if you miss that one, the next one after that will be July 9th. So basically, we do it the second Saturday of every month, and there's 5 main Game Over stores that do these, and they're spread out. So anybody that lives anywhere near any of the Game Over stores, there's going to be one of these near you. So if you live in Washington, it's the store in Bellevue, Washington. If you live in the Dallas area, there's a store in Arlington that'll be having it. If you live in the Austin area, that's going to be in South Austin, the store on South Lamar. If you live in San Antonio, it's the store in Selma. It's like right across the street from the Forum in San Antonio area. And then in the Houston area, it is the store on 1960, so on the far northwest side. So those are our tournament stores. So they'll be doing events on Saturday, June 11th. If you want to know what games they're doing and what the rules are and stuff like that, I have no freaking idea. But if you want to find out, what you can do is go to the store's specific Facebook page, and they have like an event page set up there and all the details on the game and what time to show up and how to sign up and stuff like that. But totally free, totally fun. Just something to do on a Saturday night if you got some time. So definitely check that out. Also in CGF news, so now we're less than 2 months away. So CGF is getting closer by the minute. And we continue to sign up more vendors, more guests. We're making guest announcements on it every week on our social media and emails and stuff like that. And we've got kind of a backlog, so we haven't even announced everybody yet. The announcements are still coming. Every week we're making new announcements. We're up to now 118 different vendors, artists, guests coming, and that's not even counting all the bands and everything. So it's big. I mean, this may be our biggest yet. It's our 15th anniversary, so it's going to be big. It's going to be fun, but this may actually be the biggest we've ever done. So just stay tuned to the weekly announcements on that. Let's see. And on that news, I don't know if you've noticed here, but I'm sporting my new Classic Game Fest wristband here. They're blue this year.
Like it.
Yeah, blue, like a royal kind of blue. For the weekend VIP pass. These are now finally in and finally available at all the local Game Over video game stores. So if you get the VIP weekend pass for CGF, that gets you in both days, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. The normal hours are Saturday 10 to 6 and Sunday 10 to 5. But if you have the VIP, you get in at 9 on Saturday. So you get in an extra hour early on Saturday. You do not get in early on Sunday. You get in the normal time on Sunday, but early on Saturday. And then plus it gets you in both days. You can come and go. So it's a lot of fun. And if you buy these at the door, they're $30 plus taxes and fees. If you get them early online, it's $25 plus taxes and fees. If you get them in a Game Over store, it's $25 plus tax, but no fees. So technically, the cheapest way to get one of these is at a Game Over video game store, and it'll be $25 plus tax, so it'll be like $27, $28 or something like that. If you get them online from us right now, it's $25 plus the tax and fees, which ends up being about $30. And then if you get it at the door, it's going to be $30 plus tax and fees, so it'll be about $35.
And then if you buy 3 games, you carry the one. You get one of them free.
So and then you take this plus the sale and you divide it by the discount plus the multiple square root of the
And then if you buy it on a tax-free weekend,
then
less.
then you come out way ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's simple.
Yeah.
So anyway, wristbands in stock now at your local Game Over video game stores. Yeah, we don't do Math Overcast. We don't have enough viewers that we can afford to lose as many as we would lose converting to an all math podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, now get your pencils and paper because we're going to do math equations on this show this week.
How to do buy 2 get 1 free.
Buy 2 get 1 free. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so that's cool. Wristbands in stock now. People have asked. People have wondered, where are they? Like everything else, it's freaking delayed, but now they're here. So we are on board. They are in stores. Go get them today. And this is only for people age 10 and up. If you have kids 10 and under, they get in for free, so you don't really need one of these.
All my kids get in for free.
You have all young kids, so yeah, you can.
They're not coming.
They're not coming though. And you do have to. They have to come with a parent. So this is not free daycare. Like, don't bring all your under 10 kids to CGF and just like roll up at the door and unload your minivan and have them all run in there like a daycare field trip and just run around touching everything and breaking stuff. We don't want that. It's with a paid adult admission who is going to supervise those little those little kids and keep them out of trouble. So anyway, but good to know. So CGF coming up fast. One last thing to point out with Game Over news, we got a couple more new products, and I always like to show the new stuff here first because that's my reward for everyone watching the show, is you get a little sneak preview of what's coming to the stores soon. We got new puzzles. I know we got a lot of puzzles recently, but these 2 weren't included in the last batch. So we've got Zelda the map, and this is the map. This is the most updated map, which I believe is from. Actually, I have it backwards. Sorry.
Wait.
I think this is the Breath of the Wild map, isn't it?
Let me see this guy.
Wait. Okay. You're kind of ruining this whole thing, Dan.
Well,
you just like
we
jumped
gotta
right in the
be
middle.
accurate.
I was just
I'm
gonna
not ruining
explain.
anything. Just keep
Okay, well you explain. You turn to the camera. You explain that one. What is that a map from? Okay, that was really fascinating. So this one,
Okay, hold on.
this one's Skyward Sword. So this is like the movie poster, or the game poster. The game cover, Skyward Sword. Very cool looking. So this one's available. These are all $14.99. Most of our puzzles are $14.99. 1,000 pieces. So it's not for kids. This is some hard puzzle. Hey, that's another bad. How many bad words have I said on this show?
Is that a link to the past?
All right. Oh no. Mic drop.
Mic drop. Nice drop.
There you go, Rob.
Link to the past?
All right. We're having now a heated debate among the large studio audience here onto what specific Zelda map is represented on that puzzle.
No, it's definitely.
It's a very high-level debate, very heated.
Yeah, you've got Lon Lon Ranch and the castle, and that's.
But what's up? They got all this ocean garbage over here.
It could be mixed with it could be Termina from like.
This is not.
I don't know if anybody can hear any of this stuff,
This is not
so you're gonna have
from a
to.
real. That's not a real
It
game.
could be Termina and Hyrule, but like.
Termina and Hyrule.
Maybe. But that
Maybe it's like a
I would say
like
it's an
combined
altered-
kind of
altered-
like all the points in Zelda represented on one map.
Kind of. It's an altered
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time Termina. That's what I'm gonna.
Okay. Well, now that you've just entirely killed our sales on this product, let's just throw that one away. And I guess people will have to buy this one now because you've just crapped all over that one.
Oh, I like it. I was trying to figure it out.
All right. So anyway, new puzzles. Check them out.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I have this hot new product. Wait a minute. That product is crap.
I
Thanks.
didn't say that.
You know, this whole podcast is like to encourage sales, right? Like that's.
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm a customer. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm a man with a purpose, you know.
I bought a poster last week.
Okay. Well, that's nice. Okay, well, moving on. So that's all the Game Over related news. And so now let's go on to level 3, the feature section. A little personal to me today for this week's show. So we'll get into that now with level 3. And we're back with the feature section of the show. And this week, it's going to be a little personal for me. I don't normally talk about a lot of personal stuff. I definitely don't post a lot of personal stuff on social media. And that is all completely on purpose and by design, because I don't want to be that open, especially with when it comes to my kids. I don't like putting it out there, like, where they go to school and, stuff like that. And just, if anything current events, show us is there are crazy people out there. And even though I don't think I am, rich or famous, it's still like, if somebody knows me, knows where I live, knows where my kids go to school, there's always a little part of me that's going to feel a little, at risk of that, or like my family's at risk or something.
People listen to this show.
I mean, most people in the world, I think, are nice, good people. No, not crazy. It feels like everybody in the world is crazy sometimes, but like the reality is, most people, I think, have good hearts, good intentions. Even the people that do bad stuff often have good intentions, but there are the other ones, right? The smaller percent, but they're very vocal, and when they do bad stuff, it's very visible in the news and everything. And so you have to always be worrying about the crazies, out there. So anyway, but so I don't talk a whole lot about family or kids or anything, but I did want to mention one thing for the feature of the show this week, because my daughter graduated high school yesterday, and so that was really cool. And Stuart, my friend that works in the office here, he just had a daughter recently, and so it's just this combination of things has just gotten me thinking about kids a lot lately, and so the fact that my daughter was one-ish when I opened Game Over. And I'm actually, it made me like, I've been looking through I have a photo album of the first days in the first year, basically, of Game Over. And I'm going to show some pictures. And so Dan, you can if you can insert them in here, we'll do some little slideshow.
Do you want a full screen image, or?
You could just do some little, a little square or something of some pictures, or maybe slide through a couple. I'll give Dan a couple photos, and so he can put them in here, and we'll just scroll through this or this, something like that, and show you some pictures. But when we were setting up the first Game Over store, my family was helping me because obviously I had no employees and no friends, but the family was helping. They're really helpful, and so yeah, my daughter was up here when the store is still under construction. The first Game Over store is being built, just waddling around, at 1 year old, and now graduating high school. So, crazy, it makes me feel very, very happy and very sad and very old all at the same time. It's a really weird mix of emotions. But so in a kind of celebration of that, I wanted to show off a couple things. And I'm not going to show current pictures or anything like that, because I don't want to really embarrass her, but you'll see the old pictures, so we'll cycle through those. And I'm going to show a couple other things that I got at the store. And Stuart and other people, you can look forward to stuff like this from your kids. So this is kind of dusty. But this is one of the first things that she made for me. Running Game Over. Whoops, sorry, microphone.
Put it down a little bit. There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it says, "Daddy, I love you," and it says Game Over, and then there's people there, and that's me and my employees, probably Dan is probably one of them, and
I'm the tall one.
Yeah. I might have just had 4 employees at that point, and there was just all 4 of us in our Game Over store. So anyway, she was real into art and made a lot of cool stuff, especially as a kid. She was always drawing and creating stuff. This is a little more advanced. This is when, we'd play a lot of Legos, but she actually made this for me out of Legos.
Made that?
Yeah, a little Game Over.
That in the store?
Yeah.
Is that
it's kind of dusty because I've had it forever. I've had it for I don't know, 15 years or something.
Space Invader at the bottom there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a little a Space Invaders scene in the Game Over logo.
The lettering's impressive.
It's yeah, to do with Legos, because Legos don't really lend themselves to make letters, right, because it's all blocky and everything. So you got to be creative. So anyway, I just want to show that off and brag a little bit. And I love both my kids. This one more because she just graduated, but no, I have two kids, and they're both teenagers, and one just graduated high school, one is going to go into high school, and so yeah, I'm getting older, but I'm feeling that pride of a parent, and just so it was a very emotional kind of day yesterday, and so it just got me thinking about that kind of stuff, and I honestly didn't really have anything else to do for the show because I was at the graduation, so I couldn't really prepare a whole lot, but I was like, I'm gonna show off some stuff that my daughter did because I'm really proud of her. So congrats. I love you. And yeah, so I appreciate all the stuff like that you've made for me over the years. And I look forward to, your future success in college and beyond and in life. So wish you all the best. And to everybody with kids, yeah, you will be feeling the same way someday. Such a big day. Anyway, but let's move on. Now I'm going to talk about a boss battle. And so we're going to shift from the happy stuff to the frustrating stuff. And so let's go there now with our boss battle of the week. And we're back with level 4, the boss battle. So what is the biggest battle the boss has had this week? So for once, I'm actually not going to talk about a Game Over thing. I'm going to talk about a Classic Game Fest thing for the boss battle. So with Classic Game Fest, one of the things that we require of all of our vendors, anybody there selling stuff, is a sales tax ID. And every year we get, some vendors or even guests, because a lot of our guests come and they have a booth and they sell stuff too. So they're vending as well. But there's always a handful of like vendors and guests that give a lot of pushback on that, and don't want to have to do the process of getting the form and setting that up and or ask me like, why am I asking for that? Why is all this stuff? And it's really unfortunate because I'm a very casual, laid back, I think easy to get along with type person, but I also generally, I won't say 100%, but I generally like to follow the rules. I'm just that kind of person, and I like to do things the right way. And if there's a law, I usually follow it. I occasionally will speed and bend laws, just like anybody else, I guess. But I'm aware of them, and I know they exist, and I try to follow them. But when it comes to this, there's a lot of resistance to it, and it's a small minority, but they're very vocal about why do I have to do this? What is this thing? And so I thought I'd take, this time to just kind of explain what that is. So, basically, the reason we all collect sales tax, right, is so we can fund, programs in that state. So in Texas, anything that happens in Texas that you're selling a product or service, you're supposed to collect sales tax. That goes to the state, and then it gets redispersed back out in terms of, like welfare and, city programs and police and fire, and water, wastewater, energy. I don't know. I don't want to get into all the politics of it, but like most things, it goes into a big pot that the government controls, and then they disperse it as they see fit to the things you need or the things they think you need in life. So, and you can argue about whether it's well spent or not, or you get your money's worth or not, and, I get it. But you're still supposed to pay it, right? It's a thing. And every state in the country, with the exception of one or two states, have a sales tax. It's different in every state. It's different sometimes in different cities and different states. But it's always there. And the only way that you do not have to charge a sales tax is if you're selling remotely. Like if you have a website in Texas and you're selling something to somebody that lives in California, they don't have to pay the tax, but somebody who lives in Texas would have to pay the tax because you're not physically there selling stuff. But when it comes to events like Classic Game Fest and you're physically there, so even if you live in California, so you don't have to worry about Texas tax or whatever, but if you come to Texas, like to an event like Classic Game Fest, and you're sitting there at a desk and you're selling products to somebody, you're doing a direct face-to-face transaction. So that is a sales process, an in-person, in-state sale of an item. And so you're supposed to be collecting and filing sales tax. So again, that's not my rule. That's not what I think it should be. Or man, I'm such a pain in the butt, event organizer or whatever. That's just the rules. I don't make them up. But that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that way in every state. But we'll always have a small handful of like vendors and guests that say, well, I go to conventions all the time and they never ask me for this, or it's optional, or I've gotten away somehow, without having to file or get one or whatever in the past. And
that's called tax fraud.
well, it's not fraud with the federal government. It's just a state thing. And so,
Still,
what are the odds of the state of Texas going after someone in California for doing that? I don't know. Probably really small, honestly. Like, I get it, but it's not zero. It's a higher than 0% chance.
You do enough of it, you're gonna.
Yes, exactly, and that's the whole thing. So I hear this kind of complaints, at least a small amount all the time, and the biggest one is other events and other conventions around the country don't require it. And the truth is, they do require it. They're just choosing to ignore it. They either don't know, like the organizer doesn't know, like they just aren't aware, or they don't really care about it. Their events are small, so they don't figure anybody's going to ever see or notice kind of what they're doing. Or it's just they feel like it's not my problem. Like if my vendor has an issue with sales tax, like that's between them and the state. That's not going to include me running this event. But it does, or it can. And certainly most events, especially these days, you don't want to lose a guest or a vendor because, Classic Game Fest does great because CGF is awesome. But, a lot of events post-pandemic have struggled to get people to come back. And so you don't want one more obstacle of like, I'd really like to come to your event and be a vendor or be a guest, but if you're going to make me get that sales tax thing, that's just one extra hassle that I don't want to do. And so the event organizer will just back down and be like, well, fine, just don't worry about it. And it's really sad because, like I said, I don't try to be a hard ass, and I don't make up these rules. It's just I try to follow them, and I certainly try to tell people about them because wouldn't you want to know? How do you want to find out? Do you want me to ask you in advance, or do you want to have someone, like call or email you and be like, yeah, I see that you were at, CGF or some other random event, last month, and that was in Texas, and I don't see any Texas sales tax permit. So, I need to know what your sales were there, and I need your, 8% or whatever, and I bet people would be shocked to get that kind of phone call or email. And they certainly would have come back to the event organizer at that time and been like, dude, why didn't you tell me about this thing? So I do tell them about it. And so luckily it's a small percentage of people that have this type of mental block against doing that or going through that process. But I just wanted to kind of lay out why we do that to people, and it's not for my benefit. Like, I don't collect the forms, I don't collect the payment, and honestly, I don't even care if you pay it. Like, it's not my thing. I'm just informing people of the information that it is required. That technically, when you are in person selling stuff, you're supposed to collect sales tax. If you sell less than a certain dollar amount, you may not owe anything. If you live out of state, you may not owe anything, but you're supposed to at least file and have the form so that you are set up, if you do exceed a certain dollar amount, to pay it. But I don't handle any of that. So I don't know and do everything, but I do tell you what I do know, and that is required. Let's see. So every state except 2, I believe, requires it. In-person sales require it. For me, doing an event like Classic Game Fest, I'd rather not have you confronted, or, at the show or harassed after the show about, well, I see you never filed any tax, but I see online that you were at Classic Game Fest selling stuff. Essentially they would come to reach out to you after that fact. And then people that think, well, the chances of me getting audited are pretty small, right? And it's no different with federal tax. Like a lot of people cheat on their taxes, like Donald Trump, cheats on his taxes or whatever. Like a lot of people cheat on their taxes, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't mean the rules aren't there, and it doesn't mean that some percentage, at least, of people that do cheat are going to get caught. And so you're kind of taking a gamble of, am I going to be one of the ones that sneaks through, under the radar, or am I going to be one of the ones they make an example of and do catch and ask? And for us doing Classic Game Fest, I can tell you I've done Classic Game Fest, this is going to be our 15th year. And in 15 years, I have been audited one time for Classic Game Fest. And the state of Texas reached out to me at this point, and said, I see you're doing this large event, and I need a list of all your vendors and all their sales tax IDs. And I had to provide that. And the ones that didn't have ones, we had to either, explain or have them reclassified as a non-sales booth and, talk to that vendor about, that they didn't have the approval to be actually selling stuff there. So once in 15 years is not very often, but again, it's a higher chance than zero that it's going to happen. It happens sometimes. And so, I like to be proactive. I like to be prepared. I like to, warn people in advance. And I like to run the kind of event that doesn't bend the rules, that I try and follow the rules, So anyway, and it would be the same on federal taxes. Like, I'm sure people cheat all the time and never get caught. But do you want to be that guy that they make the example out of? And then, federal tax agents, they do audits. they do catch a lot of, cheaters on their taxes. They don't catch all of them, but they do catch some. And so it does happen. I can tell you for a fact it has happened once with CGF. And luckily, because we're very upfront and it's one of our requirements to be a vendor, so we were fine with that. There were only a couple issues when we did the audit, and like I said, those could be easily reclassified as well. Those are non-sales booths. That's why we didn't have the tax number provided in the form or whatever. And so everything was fine and legit. In Game Over, just talking about audits in general, Game Over's been audited before. And I believe we've been audited twice in our 17 years. So again, it's not often, but it does happen. And so it's not like I'm going to try and cheat on the books on Game Over or whatever. Like I keep track of everything because I know that, maybe 9 out of 10 years, it's fine. And whether I did the right thing or whether I cheated, nothing would happen. But it's that one time they come in that, if you don't have your records and you don't have your, like the I's dotted and the T's crossed, you're kind of screwed. So I try and do things the right way. And so that's why we require that for CGF. That's why it's required in the state, like where the money goes. And that's essentially like what happens if you don't have it. Eventually you do get caught. You may do 100 conventions and never get caught. And on the 101st one, somebody's going to confront you. And it doesn't matter how big a YouTube celebrity you are or how, if you created, you're Nolan Bushnell and you created Atari or whatever. Like if you're there at a con in person and you're selling t-shirts for $20 a piece and not collecting tax, somebody's going to ask you eventually, like, the state needs some money there, So anyway, just don't shoot the messenger. If you're selling anything, even if you're selling games on the side, like you're reselling on eBay or on some other retro gaming marketplace or whatever, can you do that once in a while and not get caught? Of course. It's just like a garage sale at your house. Like, of course you don't have to file taxes for that. But if you buy and sell games every day, every week, every month, if it's like a full side business, if you have a garage sale at your house every single week, yeah, you're going to get caught. Your neighbors will complain. The auditors will find you. You will get found out. So you can only kind of avoid or skirt the law so long. And, a good reason for us not to follow the rules is not, well, these other 9 conventions let me do it and it wasn't that big a deal to them. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not them. Go to their conventions. They're all smaller than Classic Game Fest anyway. So, you want to go to the big one, you're going to have to follow the rules. I'm sorry. But some people don't like that and they just don't understand. And, like in life, a lot of people just want the rules in life to just cater to them. And, whatever they do must be the right thing. And whatever other people do, they're just doing it for some, they're doing the wrong thing. And I don't know. I don't know why people have that mentality. So anyway, but I've dealt with that, many years with Classic Game Fest, and I know a lot of people just have legitimate questions and have never known why we ask for that or why that's such a big deal. And so I thought for the boss battle, I would just kind of lay it all out there. That's what I go through every year with at least a handful of people having to kind of explain, how to do the right thing to them. So anyway, that is it for the boss battle. So in general, in life, whether it's sales tax permits at a convention, whether it's your personal, or work taxes with the federal government, whether it's, driving a car down a highway or whatever, like, try not to break the law, okay? And if you do break the laws, and you think, well, I'll never get caught, I think most people think that. Yet we have lots of jails, and they're not empty. People get caught. and we collect a lot of fines for different agencies and states and federal and stuff, and they make a lot of money off of it, and so somebody's getting caught and somebody's having to pay. So people are just taking that chance that it won't be them, and but it always ends up being somebody. So those two things, they can't both be true. You can't say nobody ever gets caught for this, and then we've got full jails and they're making billions of dollars in fines. They're getting this from somewhere, so somebody pays. Anyway, that's it. That's my rant. It's kind of a rant of a boss battle this week. But that is the full explanation on sales tax permits, why they're required, and it's not a me thing, it's not a CGF thing, it's not even a Texas thing. It's an almost every state, everywhere thing. So now we know. Let's go on now to the bonus level with fan feedback. And we're back with the bonus level, fan feedback. So this is my favorite part of the show. Get to hear what you guys are all thinking and saying about the show. So first comment was from Larry, our guest on last week's show. Yeah, Dan and I, we love you, Larry.
Love you, Larry.
So thank you for coming on the show. And he commented, he said it was an awesome episode last week. So he said no reason why. No particular reason.
Yeah.
I think he liked the guest on the show. Thought we did it.
Okay.
Yeah, did okay with that. Yeah. So no, we really appreciate having you on the show. We got some other comments. Awesome, great show. Keep up the great work. I love comments like that. Even if you just don't have much to say, I love just taking the time to comment and just be like, cool, love it. It doesn't take much time or effort, but give me some feedback.
Great episode.
I like that. Yeah. Or just sucks, lame.
Worst podcast ever.
Worst podcast ever.
You should listen to my podcast.
What is the name of that character on The Simpsons that is like the comic book guy? But what's his name? Does he have a name?
He's just a comic book guy.
Just comic book guy?
Name? Weird.
It's like worst episode ever.
I'm sure he has a name.
Yeah, well, anyway. I love that guy. I love The Simpsons. Simpsons is good.
Good stuff.
Simpsons should be required viewing because it's really just like Simpsons is life. That is life on that show. Anyway. Ricky, another longtime listener to the show. He's been following us, I guess, since the beginning. I think we've got comments from him since the beginning. And he was asking what happened to the Tacoma sign that we had to replace. Because I think he's actually thinking of the Houston sign. Because we moved a Houston store and a Tacoma store earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And the Tacoma store, the mall sign we ended up just moving over. And then the outside sign, we had an outside sign at the mall too that we couldn't move over, so we just had to put that one in storage. So that one's just like sitting in the back in a storage area right now. But the Houston store was the really stupid one that we moved our Houston store from one location to another in the same building, like barely moved. It just nudged over a little bit. And the sign we had in the old space wouldn't fit in the new space. I mean, technically it would fit, but the landlord didn't like it because like a sign on a building in most leases, it's supposed to take up only 80% of your storefront. And so because our storefront, and we max that out because we're a business and we like to promote. So our signs are going to be as big as they possibly physically can be. But when we moved into this smaller store in Houston, the storefront then also got smaller. And so then our sign was taking up more than 80%. So they made us get a whole new sign. So I had to spend thousands of dollars to get a whole new sign. But the old sign, unfortunately, that one ended up in the trash.
No.
Yeah, because it was like 15 feet long, so I couldn't even get it in a van to get it back to Austin to get it into our storage area, and apparently before I could even really intervene, it was just trashed. Because he was asking, he said, "Did you put it in storage or hang it over your bed?" Which that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And so if I was not married, I would probably have a game over sign over my bed, but yeah. Wives don't allow that that kind of stuff.
That's man cave material.
That is definitely I should be gender neutral. I shouldn't say man cave, but I should say in your game room. It belongs in a game room. It doesn't belong in a bedroom. So
I'm a man in
I get it.
So it's a man cave.
But if I was single, it would totally be in my bedroom. So that's awesome. That's a great idea. But yeah, no. The reality is, you have your game room or you have boxes in the garage. That's what we have. And so I'm mostly a boxes in the garage guy, sadly. But yeah, so I do have multiple game over signs in storage currently. And so whether it came down from an old store that closed or a store that moved or got a different sign size, like the thing in Houston, I think I have about 3 or 4 of them in storage right now. and for maybe a future store someday. And actually, that brings me to the next question. Another question about, we haven't mentioned anything about any concrete plans to continue to expand and add more locations. And so if we do, we have some signs. But again, the thing is, like a lot of shopping centers, the landlords have specific rules to the signs. So even though I have a couple extra ones in storage, I would have to also get, if we open the new store, get one with the size storefront that would allow that size of a sign. And also sometimes there's different height and like the strip at the top of a store where you put the sign. Sometimes it's real skinny and sometimes it's fat, and sometimes there are, again, different rules in the leases on how big your sign can be and stuff, and what color it has to be.
Well, I've seen before you've put those signs inside. I've seen one inside.
Yeah, well, the store here where we filmed the show, the North Austin store, has a sign in the back. Yeah, in the back in the store, and that used to be, where was that sign?
So was it South Austin?
I forget where that one came. I think it was the South. It was the old South Austin sign.
So
yeah, we've moved the South Austin store 3 times. The South Austin store used to be in Sunset Valley, and then it was like Lamar and Manchac, and then now it's Lamar just a little north of Manchac, it's like a couple blocks away. But yeah, we moved that one 3 times for just random reasons. But yeah, that I think was the sign that is now in the North Austin store in the back, like on the back of the like here where I have all these boxes here. We'd have a big game over sign there. No, Round Rock's been in that spot forever. Their sign broke recently, one of the letters, but we fixed it. Yeah, somebody broke I don't know if somebody broke it or if the M just broke, but the M fell off.
It said "gat over."
It was like "gatten over" or "gat-e over." "Gat-e over." But anyway, yes. So as far as plans to expand, though, I still would love to expand. But he mentioned in the comments something about COVID, and that's definitely a big reason. I mean, even before COVID, though, like if we look back to like 2019 and 2020, like before COVID, times weren't that good, for us or for retail. I mean, it's, for many years, actually, the retail industry had been kind of suffering and sales going kind of down and down because, the rise of the internet, rise of Amazon, rise of eBay and stuff like that, and retro gaming groups and, all kinds of other alternatives to buying and selling games than going into a actual store. And so that decline kind of started before COVID. And then with COVID, of course, then it declined all the way. It was like falling off a cliff then when we closed all the stores down. And so basically now, like we're, obviously back open, back in business, and everything's, good and solid, and we're profitable again, and that's good. But yeah, there's definitely some, I don't know, like PTSD on expansion where it's like, I'd love to do it. I'd love to open 5 more stores or whatever, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of travel, takes a lot of time. And, and all of those things are, kind of hard to, I don't know, not hard to come by, but hard to combine at the same time. Like I might have the money to do it, but no time, or I might have the time, but not, be in a position where I can, travel and I'll be away for a couple of weeks while I'm setting up a new store or something in a new city. So it's tough. I mean, we're still a small business, and outside of the people that work in the stores, right? Like in the Game Over stores, the only employees that don't work in the stores, there's like 4 of us now. There's me, we have our web and price change, and then we have 2 district managers. And so that's, or actually we have a social media, manager also. So there's 5 of us. So there's 5 people total in the company. And none of those positions except mine really involve, setting up a new store. And so it's something that I personally and literally would have to have the time and the money and the ability to travel and stuff like that. And I already travel a lot, and I already spend a lot of money, and I already, it's hard to come up with extra time, extra money, extra travel. So I don't know. I like to say someday we will still get back to expanding, or at least on a smaller basis, maybe a couple stores here and there. But yeah, no concrete plans yet. So that's a long way to answer your question. But yeah, so not right now, but hopefully soon. And right now I have the signs in storage, just waiting. So hopefully we can reuse them. Otherwise, someday, like when I retire or something, I'll have like a retirement home, and I'll just put a game over sign in like every room. I'll have like one in the kitchen and one in the bathroom, like over the tub, and like one in the bedroom, and it'll be just like the shrine to game over mementos from over the years. Yeah, have like power gloves on the wall in each room, and yeah, just cool pictures and stuff to share. All right, so let's go on to other questions. Let's see. Alfie, I think is the name. So new commenter on the
Alfie.
show. So thanks for joining us and commenting. And you know what their comment was? That's what she said.
Got him.
And it says that's what she said - Dan. So like
I'm sure.
like attributing that quote to you from the show. He heard you.
That's what she said to me.
Yeah. So what you guys don't know is that we oftentimes have gotten into that's what she said. Battles, I guess, of the whole show, like where we do like an entire conversation like that, and it's
sometimes they go long.
It's fun, and it's fun, but not really politically correct, and so we feel bad about that.
It hurts,
kind of,
but it goes long.
That's what she said.
No,
I didn't say it. It was Rob. That's what she said.
What a dirty robot.
You dirty little man. That's what she said. All right. So anyway, but yeah. So one day maybe we'll do a politically incorrect show, and we'll just say that on the whole show. Just like everything we do will just be nothing but trouble. And dude, that's what she said.
Do it.
Okay. So anyway, but thank you for commenting. That's really funny. Chris comments. So Larry made when Larry was on the show last week, he showed off his Marvel Capcom 2 PS2 game.
Yeah.
And so Chris says that he'll raise him now he has the Dreamcast copy, which is even harder to come by. I have the arcade cabinet. So yeah. So now we've got like one upsmanship happening here.
Yeah.
And he also says that based on Larry and his interview and showing the pictures of his room, he showed like his game room, and he has a very impressive game room apparently, because the pictures he showed, one of them had arcades just lined up on the wall, and one arcade he didn't have, the Neo Geo arcade. So he's going to need to get a Neo Geo cabinet.
The Dreamcast version's like 16 more dollars. It's not that big of a. Go get the Xbox version. That's big. Oh no, that one's even less. Okay, whatever.
Anything else, Dan?
No.
If you're going to interject to like add something positive, that's great. But like, you just interject to complain.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
I'm just messing with you. But yeah, but it is worth more. So it is a harder to find.
A little bit.
Anything Dreamcast is harder to find than anything PS2. Yeah. That's just life. But yeah, so anyway, so Chris thinks that Larry needs a Neo Geo cab for that room, and he needs to kind of shove the other machines somehow out of the way and create an extra space there and fill that void with the new Neo Geo cab, now available at your local Game Over video game store. So we'll see. So Larry, if you get one of those, let us know. Take a picture, and we'll put it on the show to let everybody know that you have now really completed your game room by adding the Neo Geo to it. So anyway, that's it. That's it on fan feedback. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us every week. Really appreciate your business and support in the stores and watching this show. So I hope you get something out of it, aside from the obvious, just like when we were doing sales and stuff like that. I hope you enjoy it. I'm having fun doing the show now. And, I was always very nervous in the beginning, and I still kind of am, but I actually do. I look forward to it as a little kind of break in my week to do something fun. So if you like the show and you watch it on YouTube, subscribe. Please hit the button. There's a button, right? You hit the thing. Isn't there a thing down there you hit? I'm such a horrible YouTuber.
What are you trying to do? Subscribe?
Can we put a big button? Like people put the big ass button on there and it's like an arrow, like subscribe.
Not anymore.
We can't do that anymore?
Not on YouTube anymore. No.
Oh.
There's a button down below.
There's a button below.
Down there.
So I should say hit the button below.
And if they want to hit the bell so they get notified whenever there's a new video, that's a new thing.
What's the bell?
It's a notification bell. So like, not only do you subscribe, but now you get a notification when there's a new video.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hit the
Well,
bell.
apparently there's a bell. So you can subscribe on YouTube. You can hit a bell, and then they'll let you know whenever we have new shows up. So do all that stuff so that we can see your love in a tangible way. It's nice that you love us, but I want tangible proof. I don't believe you. So I want you to subscribe to the freaking show.
It's conditional, okay?
My love is conditional based on numbers and metrics because that's the way my mind works. No. But thank you for watching the show. And yeah, subscribe if you want. If you don't, that's cool. You can still watch the show discreetly and not subscribe. But if you listen on an audio cast, podcast, Apple iTunes cast, Google cast, what other kind of casts are there? I don't know, any kind of cast. Fishing line cast. If you just
like if you do a play.
if you put a cup to the door while we're recording and you just listen to it that way, that's okay. Put a little string on it and
if you
listen.
do a play, the actors in your play is called the cast.
Oh, okay.
Cast of a play,
Yeah. Well, however you watch, however you listen, you're always appreciated, and your comments will always get read and enjoyed, and normally said on the show. So if you want to be famous, you can just say something really outrageous on the comments, and then I'll have to say it on the show. Unless I just choose not to, I guess. I'll probably say it on the show. We'll just bleep it out if it's really bad. Dan's good at bleeping out words, right? We've got several this week to bleep out. You're going to be busy with the coin sound.
At least 3. I didn't hear you during our
Okay.
our session over here, but
Yeah.
at least 3.
Well, I rarely ever cuss, but it happens sometimes. So anyway, but thank you for supporting the stores and supporting this show and just the retro gaming community at large. So we really appreciate it, and we all benefit when more people are playing and buying and selling retro games because it just builds the overall community. So thank you for that. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can email me at podcast@gameovervideogames.com. Send me an email, or you can comment on this show, either on YouTube or on like Facebook or any of those kind of social media things. You can put a little comment down there, and normally I see the comments and I'll read it and put it on the show. But if you want to see me talk about anything or do anything on the show, definitely reach out. Let us know if you like it, don't like it, have questions or concerns or anything like that. Just reach out. So I hope everybody has a great week. Remember, it's Memorial Day, so we all should be partying and relaxing this weekend, and shopping at Game Over stores. But other than that, totally relax after you go shopping at Game Over. Yeah, so I hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you next time. If it's Friday, it's Game Over cast time. So yeah, have a good time. We'll see you next week. Game Over. Show. All right. Happy f***ing Friday, people. Welcome to this goddamn pain in my ass motherfucking show.
Never heard of this.